everyone, and welcome along to your Sunday edition of the TII podcast. My name is Craig Dennett, and I'm joined by two of our more experienced podcasters tonight to go over what was an eventful game at I was going to call it Almondvale, the Tony Macaroni, Livingston. Let's call it Livingston. So I'm joined by Andy. Andy, how are you doing?
Very well indeed, Craig. Glad to be here, pal. Glad to be here.
Excellent. And Shug, how about yourself?
I know, I'm good. Off to a winning start, so happy with that.
Exactly. So we're going to get stuck into all the detail of Rangers' 2-1 win over Livingston yesterday as we kicked off the new season. Before we do, just a word for our sponsors, Zenith Coins. This podcast is brought to you in association with our friends over at Zenith Coins, who are giving every Rangers fan the opportunity to own their own memorable coin collection. Zenith have created a set of 5 wonderfully crafted coins, each celebrating a huge milestone in the club's 150-year history. So they've got a coin for the founding fathers, they've got a coin for Ibrox Stadium, they've got a coin for the European Cup Winners' Cup winning squad from 1972. The 9-0 team have a coin, and rounded off by the 55 winning team under Steven Gerrard. So 5 fantastic coins. I do encourage everyone to go and have a look, because they are something special and great for any Rangers fan that's looking for that wee bit something different to add to their collection. If you're interested, head over to their website, www.zenithcoins.com, and you'll be able to find out all the information there. Okay, so on to yesterday's game. Andy, first game of the season. We were all excited about it. We've all been talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Wee bit nervous going into the first game of the season, because you're never quite sure what team is going to turn up. You're also a bit more nervous because it's on the AstroTurf pitch at Livingston. How were you feeling on the morning of the game?
The same, Craig. Nervous. There was so many factors to do with the first game. One, first of all, being away from home. Second of all, being on an AstroTurf park. And third, I don't know about anybody else, but I don't really pay much attention to transfer movement out with Rangers really all summer. So you don't really know who you're going to be facing. You do a wee bit of research on the Friday or the Saturday morning prior to the game, but you don't really know how they're going to play, what they're going to set up like, and things like that. Not until at least September, October do you have a kind of adjuster most teams within the league. So a wee bit nervous, obviously. What I will say though is I bought into I could do with a break after the Europa League final. You know, it's a lot of football I could do with a break. It was a long 7 or 8 weeks there. I know it kind of flew by, but when you're used to going to Rangers twice a week, or at least watching Rangers twice a week, it's a long old 7 or 8 weeks. So it was good to be back, but on the whole, I was nervous, as I always am, because I think it's very important to go off to the right kind of start. Now, losing or drawing a game in the first 7, 8, 9, 10 games of a league season is not the end of the world, but it's very, very important to put down a marker. And to be honest with you, I wanted more of a marker than yesterday, but I'm sure we'll go into that as this continues.
We absolutely will. Shug, I'm just going to take a look at the starting lineup just now, and we'll get some of your thoughts on that one. So Rangers' first starting lineup of the season was John McLaughlin in goals, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, John Souttar, Borna Barisic making up the back 4, Glenn Kamara and John Lundstrom in the centre of the park. Scott Wright wide right, Tom Lawrence in the middle, Ryan Kent wide left, and Antonio Colak up front. I think the main talking point there, Shug, is John McLaughlin taking on the number 1 spot. Was that something you were happy to see? I think we all had thought that Alan McGregor was going to be the one after he signed his new deal, but it was refreshing in my eyes that John McLaughlin was the one in between the sticks yesterday.
Yeah, no, it's the opposite. I'd far rather see McGregor in goals. I genuinely don't think John McLaughlin's our Rangers number 1. I think he's a good backup keeper and things like that, but I think if McGregor's past it, then we really needed to get a top quality goalkeeper in. I think John McLaughlin does a job, but I mean his form in pre-season's been a bit erratic, and then even yesterday he wasn't great at the disallowed goal. So I'm not fully confident in John McLaughlin, and if a chance comes to get a keeper in before the window shuts, then I would be delighted to see Rangers get a new keeper.
Yeah, to be fair, you've surprised me a bit with that opinion. I thought the vast majority of Rangers fans had thought John McLaughlin was solid and had the capability to at least be given a shot as the Rangers number one for a season. Paul McGarrigle's in the comments agreeing with you. He says that Shug thinks the same as him. Andy, how about yourself with John McLaughlin? Were you happy to see him in the sticks?
I'm back and forth with this one, Craig. I must admit, I'm back and forth. I wasn't the only Rangers fan to walk out of Ibrox last year after Hearts and Motherwell, especially cursing McGregor, for silly mistakes and whatnot. It was discussed at length in podcasts, Scotland-wide, if you like. But when it comes to it, I think he's still a better Rangers number one than McLaughlin. During the pre-season, I thought he was kind of chopping and changing, and I thought it was going to be Alan McGregor, so I was quite shocked yesterday to see McLaughlin. But if you were to ask me right now, head and vice, it's Alan McGregor all day long for me.
It's interesting. So I am the only one on this podcast that would go for John McLaughlin as the number one. I think Alan McGregor last season, his form took a real dip. I think it can be a shot stopper all day long, and in European games he really showed his value for us. But I think in domestic games, I don't think with the ball at his feet he's ever entirely comfortable. I think John McLaughlin is better with the ball at John McLaughlin. He's not amazing, but he is better with the ball at his feet. I like the fact that John McLaughlin comes for a cross. Even there was a couple of times yesterday where he just came out and took the pressure off the defence. He took a hit a couple of times off Dublé, the big Livingston striker, but he got his body in there and he just took that pressure off the defence. And I think he's a good enough shot stopper for what we need, especially in the league. I think Europe is still to be proven. Not really sure what it'll be like in Europe, and I guess we'll see this coming Tuesday night as such. But I'm very much of the opinion that John McLaughlin deserves a shot in the number one jersey. Shug, I think the other maybe not surprise would be too harsh a word, but I think Glenn Kamara starting instead of Ryan Jack was potentially one that wasn't expected. How did you think of that? Just as we lined up for the game,
I think Kamara offers a little bit more going forward than what Jack does. A Jack Lundstrom midfield just feels too defensive for me. So seeing Kamara getting forward, and we know he can kind of play that number 10 role, and I think Kamara's been decent in pre-season and things like that, so I think he's definitely earned his chance. I don't know what the situation with Ryan Jack is injury-wise. I'm sure he had a knock in pre-season. I don't know that we were managing him last season, so I don't know if it's just taking it careful baby steps and he will come into the team, but I imagine you will see Ryan Jack starting ahead of Kamara and back and forth. I think there's not too much difference between them both. So, yeah, I was comfortable with Kamara being there and offering that little bit more going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, so we're all excited about the first game of the season. Game kicks off. Atmosphere is great. Rangers fans covering three sides of the ground, which is always great to see. Game kicks off, first 90 seconds or so. We seem to be doing okay. We're getting the ball down, and then all of a sudden Livingston get a free kick in their own half, punting the ball out wide to the right hand side. Borna Barisic is nowhere to be seen. He's standing out by the touchline as the boy comes in and headers it. Lands at the feet of Dublé, the new striker for Livingston, who just calmly chips the ball over John McLaughlin's head into the side netting. It's 1-0 Livingston, 5 minutes played. Penny, for your thoughts at that point?
Not this again. Not this again. I can't be the only one that launched a remote control across the living room and shouted, "Not this again." We've seen this before. You've got to say the guy took it fantastically well, Nubley. It was a smashing finish. He's seen McLaughlin coming off his line, which I think he had to do. There's no keeper standing in a line there. There's no keeper waits for that. He's expecting his defence to deal with that. He's got every right to be angry at them, I think. But the guy took it well. But yes, it's definitely not this again. Okay, it was only 4 minutes old, so to say we were dominating the game with it being 4 minutes old is hardly medal worthy. But we were. It was all Rangers. We had the possession. We were on the front foot. So to go up and lose a goal like that, as I say, we've seen that before. What I will say is it's character building. It's character building for these players who haven't been with Rangers, of which there are only a few, I suppose. But it's good to see that we can dig in and come back from that. We've done it so often last year. I didn't expect to have to do it in the first game of the season, 4 minutes old. I didn't expect it at all. But in a sense, we may look back at this and think that was character building. But to answer your question, not this again was my exact thought as soon as I hit the net. But you've got to say that the guy took it fantastically well. A smashing goal.
It was an absolutely great finish. Shug, there are a few points within the build-up to the goal that we could have done much, much better with. I think I mentioned Borna Barisic there for the first header. You expect him to be up there and at least challenging, putting a bit of pressure on the defender, trying to win that header out wide, but he was a good 5-10 yards off his man. And then John Souttar just had a bit of a nightmare trying to get a hold of Nubly and get in his way as such. And he just looked as though he completely lost the track of the ball, and it did not look like a good start for Souttar at all. Would you agree with that assessment, or is there anything that you would disagree with there?
Yeah, no, I think it's a huge worry, because I'm absolutely certain that would have been something they'd worked on in training, because it's Livingston's main threat. It's that long ball. Why Barisic dropped off, I think it was Devlin that got the header. Why Barisic dropped off, and I don't know. Should at least have been putting a challenge in. But then at the same time, Souttar's got to be there, almost expecting, even if Barisic challenges, not to win the challenge. He should be prepared for that ball coming down. I don't know, when he was at Hearts, he was playing the right side of a 3 last season. Now he's come in with us and he's starting on the left side at 2. I don't know if that's problematic for him, getting used to being on that side, but it was 2 or 3 times yesterday he just seemed to be in the wrong side of players. And I mean, Nubly, I think, was on loan at Arbroath last season, so he's hardly Lionel Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo that's come in, and he just made Souttar look awful. And the scary thing is that Souttar is from Scotland and has played in Scottish football all his life. He knows these pitches, he knows these tactics. It's not something new. It's not something that he's not dealt with before. So hopefully it's just a case of him settling in and trying to get that left side of the centre half in his game. But certainly it's not filled me with confidence for Tuesday night if Souttar's going to play there. Because I think he could be a great defender. I think he could be a great player for Rangers. But on yesterday's performance, it made me a bit nervous.
Yeah, Andy, I've got a couple of comments in. Aldo McNaught saying that as soon as Ben Davies is fit, he's straight in to the team. Paul McGarrigle saying it was Souttar's first game, he'll get over it. Depends how Davies plays, but Souttar could be back up. I am very much of the opinion it's far too early to judge John Souttar on one game. Like Shug said, I think he did look a wee bit uncomfortable on that side of the defence, but it might just be an aberration, and it might just have had a bad game overall. Would you agree, far too early to pass judgment on Souttar?
Absolutely, absolutely. We all done this last year with John Lundstrom, didn't we? We all passed judgment, myself included, on John Lundstrom, and look what he went on to do. So it's far too early to pass judgment on him. There's folks on the comments saying Ben Davies. We don't know. He could come on and be an absolute world beater. He could come on and have a few bomb scares, and we want him binned as well. But we just don't know. It's that early in the season. It is all kind of guesswork. He certainly never covered himself in glory yesterday. Now, if you sign for a club like Rangers, you kind of have to hit the ground running. We all expect that, and he knows that. He knows the Scottish game more than anybody, I suppose, and he knows what he's going to have to do. He's played against Rangers. He's watched Rangers. He knows what we expect. He knows what teams are going to do against us, and he knows what he has to do as a centre half. And he didn't do it yesterday. He didn't do it. So I don't need to tell him that. I'm quite sure Van Bronckhorst doesn't have to tell him that. He'll know that himself. So it's up to himself to turn it around. If he given the chance, I'm quite happy to give him the chance. I'm positive he will turn it around. But it is too early as we stand. But I'm sure we'll go on to James Sands as we go on. We've certainly got plenty to cover there.
We do indeed, and we will go on to James Sands a wee bit later. Shug, I think a phrase that Andy used earlier on was "not this again." I think that pretty much sums up the first half for me, if I'm being honest. I think it was a really poor first half from our perspective going forward. Obviously defensively in the first 5 minutes, but then going forward, I think it was at one stage of the first half we had 91% possession against Livingston's 9% possession, so we're completely dominant of the ball. But we had all that possession, but there was absolutely no penetration at all. You're almost crying out for a Joe Aribo somewhere in the team to come on and with his quick feet around the box. But obviously he's away to Southampton, and you might have seen his goal for Southampton yesterday as well. But it was all, we had all the possession, but none of the penetration. Was it a bit of a concern for you at that point? Was there anything that you thought that we could have done with or done better in that first half?
I think we're taking far too many touches on the ball. Ryan Kent, for me, he's either on it or he's way off it. And in the first half yesterday, he was way off it. And I think we've seen the difference with Kent when he's having too many touches and he's trying to turn inside and try and twist, turn past three players. To the Kent in the second half, it was one ball out of his feet, boom into the box. Really quick, smart movement. I think that was just, it sort of summed up the whole team in the first half. They're all wanting to try these wee passes around the box, nobody was taking it on. Nobody was saying, like, no, we're going to go and have a real go, going to go and take shots, make the keeper work and things like that. And it's always concerning against teams like Livingston when you lose the first goal, because you know they're already defending with 10 men behind the ball, but it gets even worse and they drop even deeper and it's even harder to try and break them down. So yeah, that was the not this again going through mine and Andy's and everybody's head, I'm sure. Yeah, it was frustrating, and like you say, at the end of the day you can have 99% of the possession, but if the other team scores a goal with a 1% possession, means nothing. So thankfully we've got a bench capable of making changes.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, one of the things Shug mentioned there was we were too slow with the ball in possession, and we were effectively just going from side to side at the edge of the 18-yard box with little to no creativity or idea. I guess we've seen that a few times last season. The team was largely made up of players from last season. They were potentially just settling in to the game, but it was a concern, wasn't it, that we just didn't seem to have any real attacking threat?
Yes, it was, and more than the too many touches, like Shug mentioned, that I thought the quality across was very, very poor in the first half. You're expecting Tav to get that ball whipped on to somebody's head every time. Now, you're expecting too much, obviously, for that, but you're expecting better than he managed, him and Kent either side. I thought Scott Wright played okay in the first half. I thought he done okay, but I just feel sometimes when you're playing with a winger like Scott Wright, or even a Sakala to an extent, you're kind of taking up Tav's room. Do you know what I mean by that? It's as if that's where Tav's is most dangerous, especially in an attacking sense, is on that right wing where the right winger's supposed to be. When you get Wright and Sakala there, I find they stay out there more often than not, and there's 1-2s going on, and that's fine. But it brings defenders over and it creates less room for Tav. Now, I'm not saying Tav needs a lot of room. He can pick a pass out, no problem at all, James Tavernier. But it gives him less of a chance too. He's got less space to do it and sometimes less time to do it. I thought the quality of crosses in were very poor in the first half. And obviously that was mentioned at half time, because almost immediately it was back to good crosses coming in with a bit more time and a bit more penetration, if you like. We might go on to Colak shortly. I want to see more from him. I know he's only new and it's his first proper competitive game for Rangers, but you're going to have to bend about it a bit more than I thought he was.
Yeah, I think he found that a bit tough actually. Just Colak against the big Livingston defenders, the aggressive Livingston defenders, and he wasn't really getting, like you say, the quality of service that he would be hoping for. I think we saw in the second half what he can do when he does get a good delivery. But I think the level of service that the likes of James Tavernier, Ryan Kent, Scott Wright was putting into the box was just nowhere near the level that you even look at someone like Morelos would have struggled, I think, in that first half, the way we were playing. It might have been able to make something happen by coming deeper. But I thought you could tell Colak was getting a bit frustrated, actually, that certain balls weren't being played to him, and he was looking for the ball into feet as well quite a bit. So I think it's potentially just the team getting used to the way he plays, where he wants the ball, and because everyone automatically assumes he's a big guy, so let's stick the ball in the box and he'll just win headers all day long. And I don't actually think that's the main part of his game. I think it's something he can do, but he seems to like to drift wide. He likes to try and run in behind a wee bit as well. So he'll be adjusting to the Scottish game, and Rangers fellow players will be adjusting to how he likes to play and where he likes the ball and all that sort of stuff. Shug, one thing Scott Wright did do was he had the Livingston left back on toast pretty much from the word go. I think Kankar was the name of the Livingston left back. He absolutely took him out. I think about 15 minutes gone into the game, and the most obvious yellow card you've ever seen. Scott Wright just kept going at him and going at him and going at him, and he was brought down again. I think it was about 25 minutes into the game, and everyone, I think, watching that game thought the second yellow card was coming. It's the most obvious yellow card you've ever seen, and the referee just gives him a warning. Kankar was then subbed 2 minutes later, which is the most blatant sign you'll ever see from a manager that they know the player should have been sent off. So what was your thoughts on the whole incident around that second yellow card and how that played out?
Yeah, I think the referee was still in his pre-season friendly mode, almost as if you better take him off because I'm going to have to send him off if you don't, kind of thing, just to keep it level in the park. It was poor refereeing. I think even David Martindale said in his presser that he probably should have been sent off. So, I mean, David Martindale's one of my favourite managers, but that's one of the reasons why, because he's basically said that they got away with one, and you shouldn't be allowed to be getting away with one. League season is too important. 2 big goals yesterday, and I thought the referee got them both wrong. Obviously throw that goal. So I mean that's officiating in Scotland in 2022, but of course they're all Masonic and they're all on our side. So it must have just been a blip yesterday, because it was definitely a second yellow, absolutely, and he should have been off. So I don't get it. I don't get referees just now. It's an easy decision. It wasn't as if it was a tough decision or maybe his referee standing looking at that, and he's just took a professional foul, yellow card. So no, I'm not impressed with the referee's start to the season.
And the second yellow card for you?
All day long. It's quite possibly the most blatant yellow card you might see this season, and it was only 26 or 27 minutes into the first game of the season. As I said to you off camera before we came on here, I don't buy in to conspiracies. I don't believe the referees and linesmen are out to get certain teams, are out to benefit certain teams. But when there's things like that happen, it certainly doesn't help their case. It does not help their case at all. It was the most blatant yellow card I've seen for a long time, and quite possibly the most blatant yellow card we'll see all season. An absolute joke is what it was. Simple as that, Craig. Yeah,
Shug, just one more point on the first half. We seem to struggle with the height and strength of Newbley up front for Livingston, especially in that first half. I don't think that's the first time we've seen Goldson and another struggle with the height and presence of someone up front, especially against teams like Livingston, Ross County, those kind of teams. Is that a concern for you as we move further into the season, or do you think it's something that actually the likes of Ben Davis coming in, potentially Hollander coming back at some point, will be able to help us sort?
I would hopefully it'll get sorted itself out, but it's happened too many seasons now. Remember Lyndon Dykes doing the exact same job for Livingston. That Cosgrove at Aberdeen, all these big handy strikers, there's not much ability about them, but they're rough, and our defenders seem to struggle with them. again, I mean, Souttar seemed to be the man that was on Newbley the most, and he was just brushed off by him time and again. So it's a bit worrying. Just have to hope that it's not too many big strikers going about in the league, because that's definitely our weak spot, is these long balls, and especially down that left side, our left side, even that channel and things. So I'd like to hope that it'll sort itself out, but it's something that defenders are going to have to work on, and we maybe need to sharpen up on and get used to it, because it's going to happen. And I know that if I was any of the other managers in the SPFL, that's exactly what I'd be doing against us. It's playing my biggest striker up top and just saying manhandle the defenders. They don't like it, so that's the way I'd go if I was playing against Rangers. So it's a worry, but hopefully, like you say, with Ben Davies and things coming in, hopefully we'll sort it out, and maybe they need to take the Nico Katic diet that he went on after his injury when he turned into the Incredible Hulk. I think we maybe need an Incredible Hulk in there beside Goldson to bash their strikers about. So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, it is a worry. It's something I'm sure the coaching team will be working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Andy, we head into half-time 1-0 down. I wasn't panicking at this stage, if I'm honest. We've seen plenty of times last season Giovanni Van Bronckhorst make a real difference with his half-time team talk. Not scared to make changes, as we'll go on to in a second at that point. And what's good to see is we have various different ways of playing as well. That mean that we can change things up if one style isn't working. And I think under Steven Gerrard, that's actually where we struggled, was having that variation in styles of play. At half-time, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst took off Scott Wright, brought on Malik Tillman. I think it was a substitution we were all kind of hoping would happen. We weren't sure it was going to happen at half-time, but it did seem a positive move. And one thing which I noticed a wee bit in the game, but having read Joshua Barry's article in the Rangers Review today about the impact that bringing Tillman on, pushing Lawrence wide, had on the game, and how Livingston approached their defensive duties in terms of not being able to double up on Ryan Kent anymore. It seemed like a real positive move, and it was great to see Tillman come onto the park as well, wasn't it?
Definitely. I'm very glad. I'll admit I'm a very amateur manager. When I'm sitting watching Rangers, it's all about 3 points for me. And I was thinking before half-time, as much as I had so much trust in Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, as we all do, I'm sure, for changing things at half-time, as he's done so many times in the past, I thought Sakala for Wright. That's what I thought. Bit of pace. I'm a great believer when it's tight, away from home, in Scotland, pace wins games. More often than not, it gets you the goal, it gets you the space. I didn't think Tillman would be brought on at that point. I was glad he was. After you explained to me about Joshua Barry's article, it makes perfect sense. It makes absolute perfect sense now to bring him on, push Tom Lawrence wide, take that extra man away from Kent and free up space, and look what happened. It worked. We'll get onto the offside goal. I say offside goal, there's no such thing. The goal should have been stood, but was ruled offside, and Arfield's goal. And that was all made from Kent having that wee bit more space. Okay, Kent's a winger. He's there to make space for himself. And he does more often than not. He's very fast. He's very tricky. But when you're in tight places like Livingston, like St Johnstone, like Ross County away, like St Mirren away even, you don't get much space. So to bring any player and it's only in hindsight, as I say, I'm only an absolute perfect sense, and it bodes well for the future of this season, that when things aren't going well, and they weren't going well as we've discussed, that Van Bronckhorst can make a wee tweak here and there and everywhere. It doesn't have to be wholesale changes, it doesn't have to be 3, 4, 5 changes. It can be one change, create a pocket of space, and there you go. Simple as that. So it was very, very pleasing to see, and I'm all aboard the Tillman bus, I'll tell you that, Craig.
Absolutely, Shug. That's going to be my next point to you. It was obviously great to see Tillman come on. We hadn't really seen him yet. He played in the pre-season friendly behind closed doors against Queen's Park, but he looks a real talent, doesn't he?
Yeah, no, he really does. I was like Andy. I thought Sakala would be coming on at half time, and again, I'm delighted it was Tillman now. Haven't seen him. He's got that ability at the edge of the box. He's kind of Joe Aribo in that he's got that close control and things like that. He seems to find spots and spaces. I'm just sure it was the opportunity he had, never took it. But he's an exciting player, and I think when we were looking at our bench yesterday, and you're considering the amount of players we still got injured, it was a pretty strong bench. The fact that Souttar was there to still come on, and considering we're missing Morelos and Roof and things, it's a really strong bench. So no, I'm excited, and it'll be interesting because I like that Gio's got them wee tactical things that he can do, and he's got his players in that he can actually work his formations, and he can implement his own plans and things like that. So it was good to see Tillman in, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of him.
Yeah, definitely. And it seemed that the change from Gio seemed to make an instant impact. Almost, we instantly looked more of a threat going forward. We continued to dominate the ball, but we had that little bit of edge around about us at that point. And it wasn't long before we had the ball in the back of the net. I think it was around the 55th minute or so that Ryan Kent swings the ball in with his left foot. Antonio Colak meets it with his head into the top corner. Looks like a great start for the big Croatian, and one each. And you think that's us back on track. Turn around, and the linesman's got his flag up. It definitely looked tight. I know the benefit of doubt is supposed to go to the attacker. I think it is very, very tight, and obviously VAR will be coming in at some point in the near future. I think it was supposed to be after the World Cup initially. I think it's actually they're trying to bring it forward a little bit so it comes in earlier. It was a tight call, but it looked harsh to give the offside, didn't it?
That's exactly it. Very, very tight, but it's on. It's on. The camera angle that Sky Sports showed, and we've all seen on Twitter and various things today, is ever so slightly towards the halfway line. So you're not looking exactly along the line. So you can never, I suppose, say for definite. The linesman has got good position to see along the line. What he doesn't have a good position for is seeing when the ball was kicked from Ryan Kent's left foot. There's no way he can see that. That's the full width of a pitch with about 8 or 9 players in front of him. He can't say when that ball was kicked. Let's be honest, it's complete and total utter guesswork from that linesman. It's guesswork. It's as simple as that. It's happened for years, and it's only got a few months left. They raised their flag, and it's as if they know something we don't. And he was wrong yesterday. He was wrong. It was very, very tight, so you can't be overly harsh on him. But he was wrong, 100% wrong. And the sooner we get VAR, the better, because that goal would have stood. And I've got no doubt we'd have went on to win that by 2 or 3 goals yesterday. Such was the way we started that second half. So we've only got a few months. I wasn't aware that you just said there, Craig, that they're trying to bring it in before the World Cup. If that's the case, then excellent. I don't see it happening. I think it's quite a big ask to bring it in while there's football games going on before the World Cup, which starts in November. Is it
November?
14th of November. It's a big ask to bring that in. If they're trying to do it, then great. The sooner the better, in my opinion. I think Rangers will benefit massively from having VAR. So the sooner the better for me. But yesterday, that goal in my mind was onside, and there's no way on earth that line's been seen when Ryan Kent kicked that ball.
Yeah, Shug, just a word on sort of Antonio Colak. He struggled in the first half, I think it's safe to say, as we spoke about earlier, but I think that finish shows just what he can do in terms of movement and timing as well. I think if he can get into that rhythm, he'll score a fair few goals for us.
Yeah, I am excited by him. Can't wait to Morelos back, obviously, but Colak, I think, he's been unfairly judged so far. It's not as if he's been missing half a dozen chances every game, things like that. And then that was his one chance, and he took it well. I think there is a bit of strikers and the fullbacks and wingers having to learn that what Colak's going to do and what movements he's going to make, so they know where to put the crosses and things like that. Once all that comes together, I think Colak will score pretty consistently in Scotland, and depending on how fit Morelos is and when he's back, Colak could play a big part.
He absolutely could. There's quite a few comments coming in saying that VAR was running in the background. I think they're doing some dry runs with referees to try and get them up to speed. I think, as far as I'm aware, that is absolutely what the case was. yesterday. So goal disallowed. A couple of minutes later, Borna Barisic is out wide. He tries to flight in across to the back post, gets it a wee bit wrong, but it causes the keeper all sorts of trouble. It looks like it's dipping in just into the top corner. Keeper gets a slight touch to it, hits the bar, hits the post. It manages to fall to one of our players. It's not often that something like that falls to one of our players, but the ball falls to Tillman, who probably strikes it too cleanly. If a wee bit of height, a wee bit of miss hit, and it probably finds the back of the net, Andy. But I think once that happened, you were at the stage where like this is just one of these days that isn't ours. Andy, sorry, we lost you for a second there. I was just saying about Borna Barisic's cross that hit the bar in the post, and then obviously Tillman's shot, which I think he caught too cleanly. If he mishits it, it's going to find the back of the net. But when that happens and Livingston managed to get the ball clear, this is just one of those days, isn't it?
It's not our day. Is what I was thinking. It's just not our day. Between the offside goal, I keep saying offside goal, the goal that was ruled offside, and then that, you just think this isn't coming. It's not coming. It happened last year, if you remember, at Tannadice, Dundee United away. The goal eventually came, and we should have had a penalty kick in that game. But it was just one. I thought it was going to be one of these ones, but 80%, 85% possession. It's just not going to go in or go in enough times to win the game. It was a good shot, but from Barisic, it looked in all the way to me. I seen it. I thought, this is dipping. It's dipping. I don't know whether the keeper got a touch on it or not, but to hit the bar, then the post, and then come back out, he's just got to put his laces through it. The guy, Tillman, laces through it, and that's in the back of the net, and he's taking the goalkeeper with him. You can understand his apprehension just to try and place it, and try a wee bit of finesse. But no, you're right. I just thought, oh no, I've seen this story before, and this is going to finish one each at best. We'll take a point away from Livingston. But as I say, we got a lot better than that.
We absolutely did. Shug, 67 minutes gone. Another couple of substitutions. Scott Arfield comes on for Glenn Kamara. I think it was a game crying out for someone like Scott Arfield and the runs he makes into the box. And James Sands comes on for John Souttar. We'll speak about John Souttar's performance once we finish going through the game. But seeing James Sands come into that position was a real positive, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think James Sands had a really good pre-season, and he's looked at ease at that left centre half slot. So I was happy to see him come on. Like we said, Souttar was struggling, and Sands, when he came on, I thought he played well. He ran crossfield that even Connor Goldson would have been proud of. So yeah, no, I was happy to see Sands, and hopefully now that it's been here and he's had full pre-season with us, we'll hopefully see the best of him this season and see if we make that loan permanent come the end of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it'll be interesting to see if James Sands is able to make the impact that we all think he has the capability to this season. I guess it's just down to how many minutes he can get. But I think we'll see James Sands, especially in games at Ibrox, more often than we did last season. Andy, we're still continuing to push at this point. We're threatening the Livingston goal, just not quite finding that final touch. Livingston hit us on the counter-attack. Nubley is running one-on-one against Connor Goldson. Goldson's backpedaling, kind of jockeying him a bit. And I think Goldson did really well to slow him down and allow for other defenders to get back and support. The Nubley has a shot, it ricochets off Connor Goldson. I think it goes back to one of the other Livingston players and he skies it over the bar. But really good defending from Connor Goldson, and the game could have been done at that point, couldn't it?
Definitely, that was their chance. That was a chance to kill the game from a Livingston point of view. Connor Goldson's great at that, particularly last season. Last season, I thought he was particularly good at that. Slowing down play when perhaps the ball shouldn't have got as far as him to have to do things like that. And to be honest, it shouldn't have really got that far yesterday in that play that you're talking about. He done well to slow the ball down. If that guy, was it Nubley? It was Nubley that was running through on him, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. If
he finishes that, the game's done. It's all over bar of shouting, in my opinion. You might get it back. You can push all you want, but it didn't look as if it was going to happen for us at that point. that goal goes in, it's a completely different game. That's why I was happy Goldson stayed. That's a big part of his game. Is that he can be very, very guilty of various things. Conor Goldson, we've all spoke about it in the past, and I'm no doubt we'll speak about it again in the coming season. But when it comes to a 1v1 last ditch tackle, he's very good at that, or getting his body in the way of it. I was glad it was him that was having to do that, and I was delighted that he managed to get it done, because the game changed shortly after that.
It did indeed, Shug. Almost instantly after that, the ball finds its way to Ryan Kent out wide. He's been going down the outside all game. This time he decides to cut inside, whips in a cross with his right foot. Wasn't the best cross I've ever seen in my life, but Scott Arfield makes one of those trademark runs of his, gets a glancing header onto it, and it finds the side netting, and it's one each. It was I think it was the perfect time for us to score. It was almost getting too late for us to give ourselves a chance of the win, so it was a great time for us to score.
Yeah, I think Scott Arfield, again, he could play a big part of our season as well. I think he's going to be a massive impact sub this season. Don't see him stopping many games, but coming off the bench and the runs that he makes, I think he's always dangerous and always there to grab a goal. It was a great header. He didn't have to do much with it. I think the cross from Kent was at his best when he was just taking that one touch, flighting the ball in, just turned inside, flighted it, and Arfield's just glanced it and gave the keeper no chance. So it was definitely getting more and more frustrating watching and waiting for that breakthrough, especially with the Tillman miss that he hit that team, and you're like, this is definitely not our day. So to get that goal, I think the stadium erupted, and I think the players got the boost from that straight away.
Yeah, like you say, the stadium erupted, and Rangers fans were going mental, which was always a great sight, especially when they're covering three sides of the ground. And I was watching from home. Barely got back in my seat, and we got a free kick at the edge of the box, Andy. It was, you're looking at it. We've not scored a lot of free kicks recently, especially towards the end of last season. It was intended to be over the bar or straight into the wall. So I don't think I can blame anyone for thinking that was going to be the case again. But James Tavernier steps up. You think he's going to whip it back across into the top left-hand corner, but he leaves it hanging out to the right, and catches the keeper off guard, and it finds the back of the net again, and it goes from 1-0 at 71 minutes to 2-0 to 2-1, at 74 minutes. It was the perfect double sucker punch, wasn't it?
Fantastic. It's exactly what we needed. I was sitting, my friend popped in to watch the game with me, and I said to him, when you get one back for half time, didn't happen. He says, when you get one before the 55th, didn't happen. When you get one before the 65th, didn't happen. I says, well, I'll give it to 70, or it's knackered. Just shows you how much I know. Within 75, 5 minutes later, we're 2-1 up. Tav does what Tav does, as Mr. Martindale said yesterday afternoon. I thought, if I'm being honest here, as a Rangers fan, that's a great free kick. You'll tell everybody it was top corner. It wasn't top corner. I thought the keeper was very, very suspect. You can see he takes from behind the keeper's goal, as the keeper looks at it, he takes ever so slightly to the right, which gives him less of a chance to get to the left. And Tav hits it with a bit of pace and a bit of curl, but it certainly wasn't in the corner. It was not in the corner of the net. The keeper could have done a hell of a lot better. I always wonder when you see good free kick takers, Tavernier and things like that, the wall, if you like, hinders the goalkeeper. And I don't know if you may be too young to remember, Craig, maybe giving you a wee bit too much here, Shug, but David Beckham was asked, when he used to bend them round walls, he was asked, what would you do if the keeper never built a wall? And David Beckham says, I'd build one. And he's right. That's what they look for. They look for the unsighted goalkeeper, whether it's going to the top left or the top right. They're looking for the keeper to be unsighted. And that free kick yesterday screamed Tav's top left, goalkeeper's top right. So I think that's what the keeper was thinking. So that wee edge to the right gave him less of a chance to get to the left. And Tav's whip, it was fantastic. Listen, the Rangers captain's going to do that all season long. They'll end up in the Copeland Road, they'll end up in the Broomland Road, but more often than not, they'll be on target. And as long as they go in when we're one each away from home to get the victory, then I'm a happy man.
Absolutely, Shug. I think I sort of read today some comments from Tav that said that it was actually Conor Goldson that spotted what the goalkeeper did at free kicks and saw a potential opportunity for him to go the opposite side from normal. it's great to see our players, even a centre half like Connor Goldson, switched on like that and seeing us take full advantage, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Goldson had said to Tav when we had the free kick before and Barisic took it. On the other side, he'd said that the keeper had went, and obviously Tav, I don't know if that's Goldson trying to get his assist bonus payout or something. And that's maybe what him and Tav got up to, trying to claim each other rewards. But yeah, Tav did credit Goldson with that, and it's a brilliant piece of information. It's a brilliant spot, and we took full advantage of it. Like Andy said, it wasn't in the top corner, and had that been a Livingston fan, I'd have been disappointed in my goalkeeper. That's his side of the wall to cover. And to be fair, it was one of them free kicks that when it was there, I thought it's too close. It was too close to the goal to get it up over the wall and down. I didn't think was going to happen, so I'm very surprised that the keeper took that chance and thought it might happen. I thought that the best way to score was it was exactly the same as what Borna had tried, but yeah, Tav executed it better than Borna.
He did indeed, and Rangers were 2-1 up, and we were all delighted and breathing a huge sigh of relief. And I felt like we were in complete control of the game from that point onwards. Last season, when we went ahead, there were a few times when we were a wee bit shaky and we lost a couple of late goals. But I think Gio's got to grips with that within the team and the mentality they have when they are one goal ahead, and they just to manage the game out. There was one more change was made. Ryan Jack came on for Tom Lawrence just to shore up the team from that perspective. There was only one real chance to talk about, and it came in our own penalty box. It was a long throw in from Livingston, misses the first defender. The Livingston striker, I think it's Oberlai, heads the ball into the back of the net. Goldson was clearly pushed in the build-up. Not that Andy Walker managed to see that push, but the goal was disallowed. Seems to have been quite controversial to some people in the media, but it was an obvious foul, wasn't it?
I thought so. I thought so at the time, and after watching it back and how many times it's been shared on Twitter for some reason, I find it amazing how often that's been shared on Twitter in the last 24 hours. It's frightening, actually. Listen, it was a push in Goldson. Yes, I've seen harder pushes. Yes, but you've also got to remember that it came over Tav's head. Tav didn't even get a chance to jump. Okay, Tav had his hands behind his back and he was grabbing the striker, if you like, but the striker was grabbing him. There's not a referee in this land. They'll not blow for a free kick to the defender in that situation. It's going to happen every single game up and down the country from now till next May. It's as simple as that. It's a free kick to Rangers. Draw a line under it and get over it. It's as simple as that. I don't understand the controversy over it. I'm led to believe I don't watch the BBC highlights, but did they not have an hour and a half long special last night discussing it? It wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they did. But listen, there's nothing in that. It's a free kick to Rangers all day long. If you were to go over every single time a corner, a free kick, or a shy gets launched into a penalty box, and a goalkeeper comes for it and gets touched and he goes down and gets a free kick, wins a free kick, the goalkeeper does. If you were to go over that for every single game up and down the country, you'd never get anything else done. It happens. It was a free kick to Rangers. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't disagree with any of that. Shug, final whistle's blown. Rangers win 2-1 on the opening day of the season away to Livingston, one of the tougher grounds that we'll go to this season. It was a really positive start from the outcome side of things, but I think more to come performance-wise.
Yeah, 100%. A lot more to come. Livingston's always, I mean, we've got a great record against Livingston now, but it's always a tough place to go. It's never somewhere where you go and win comfortably. And yesterday, they're saying how dry the pitch was and things like that. It would have been difficult for the players. But at the end of the day, if you offer me a 2-1 win every game this season, I'll take it. It's the most important things to get the 3 points, to get home, and now we've got Kilmarnock to look forward to next weekend. So hopefully that'll be another 3 points come then. But yeah, getting a win at Livingston, I'm happy. I don't care if it's 2-1 or 10-1. The performance isn't the most important thing, it's the result. So happy with that, and yeah, I can see there's a lot more to come as well. So all in all, it's a good day. And
you mentioned at the very start of the podcast that you were expecting a lot more from Rangers as a team. I assume you were happy with the win and the 3 points, but definitely more to come, isn't there?
Of course, I was happy with the win and the 3 points. That's first and foremost when at the start of the season like this. You obviously want a good performance, and I think we got that. I think we got that in the second half. Thinking back to what we were talking about the first half, are we being a wee bit too harsh for the first game of the season away from home on a plastic pitch? Maybe. But there's definitely more to come. But the pleasing thing about yesterday was that we managed to build a bit of character. We had a bit of character at half time, and some new players come on. Tillman came on, played fantastically well, and was involved very much so in the second half. So that's a good thing. But the first and foremost is to get the 3 points, especially when you go to Livingston. That's one of the ones you look for when we play in Livingston, when we play in Kelly, when we play in these plastic pitches. Now we'll go through this the whole season, but you can't blame the pitch. They all train on them, blah 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 nonsense. It's a match day. It's an SPL game. It matters a lot, and these boys are used to it. We're not as used to it when it comes to a competitive fixture like that. So it's going to come up time and time again. To walk away with the 3 points is excellent, and it's one of them ticked off the list that we've been there and done that. So move on to next week now.
Yeah, absolutely. Andy, sticking with yourself, just look at a couple of the talking points from the game overall. John Souttar's debut. I think it's safe to say it could be classed as one to forget. There's been some reports on social media that his brother may have died a week ago. They've not been confirmed, I don't believe, but I think we're all willing to give Souttar his time to try and prove himself, because we've seen how good a defender he is when he plays for Hearts, haven't we?
That's the thing. We've all witnessed he's not the left back coming from Turkey. I've never seen the guy play, so we're going to have to make a judgment on him very, very quickly. We've all seen John Souttar play, and I rate John Souttar. I've said that last season as well. So yes, I'm more than willing to give him time. And I think, because I'm 40 years of age and I've watched Rangers for a long, long time, but last season taught me a lot when it comes to giving players time with John Lundstram. So I'm willing to give him a bit of time. Yes, you're exactly right, Craig. It was one to forget. It was definitely one to forget for him. But how many times have you seen Rangers legends, or Rangers almost legends or legends, didn't start their career very well at all? It's happened countless times. So give the guy time. If his brother has passed away and that's on his mind, I'm very, very sorry to hear that. But Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will ask him, are you ready to play? And he's obviously said yes. So I don't think that's got much to do with it. I hope not anyway. But I'm going to give him time, and I'm quite sure he'll come good.
Yeah, I have to agree. Shug, we spoke a bit about James Sands earlier on when he came onto the park, and just he had a quite assured performance at the back there. When he first came in, we were told he was a defensive midfielder, kind of where we've expected him to play. He's played a couple of times at centre half last season. He seems to be a real option for us there, doesn't he? Especially in games where we'll be dominating possession, because he is so confident on the ball.
Yeah, he's played really well. I thought he was probably the opposite of what I expected, because I thought with Souttar playing, Souttar was going to dominate in there because he's used to being Scottish football. When Sands came on, Sands actually did dominate. Sands took control in Newplay and didn't see anything in Newplay after that. His passing's really good. So yeah, no more Sands. I see the more I'm expecting us to actually buy him at the end of the season. I think he's got the potential there. It's just trying to fit everybody in. I agree with Andy. I think John Souttar can be a phenomenal player for Rangers. But again, it's when you get these chances, you've got to take them, because there's so much competition for places now that one bad game and that could be you out for the next couple of months. So yeah, I'm excited. I think Sands will come good this season, and the fact that he offers that sort of utility-ness from the bench. He can come on in the midfield, he can come on and hold, he can come on and set in defence. I think he's a great option off the bench. So it's good to see Sands, and I'm hoping to see more of him this season.
Yeah, and Michael Crook's in the comments, and he says Sands is better at centre back than in midfield. What are your thoughts on that? Would you agree?
Yes, I would. From what I've seen of him, yes, I would. I think he's very assured on the ball. He doesn't look out of place at all, and he's a great cover for there. Now that's us get Souttar, him, Hilander, and Davies. All I look for now. So what happened last season hopefully can't happen again, where you've got to use a makeshift left back, sorry, a makeshift centre half out of our best left back. So hopefully that can't happen again. It's up to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, but if he continues the way he's going, who's to say he's not going to be the first choice left centre half? If he's going the way he is right now, it'll be interesting to see the team he picks for Tuesday night. I've got a funny feeling what the options that Van Bronckhorst has in defence, especially in defence, actually. It could be horses for courses. It could be a European defence, if you like. It could be a defence set up against cloggers away from home in the SPL. And it could be a defence for Ibrox when you're going to have a lot more of the ball. So let's wait and see on that. But it's going to be interesting. We've got a lot of options there, and Sands gives us another one. And he's covering his selling glory now.
He definitely is. Shug, games come thick and fast at this time of year. Straight into European action on Tuesday night against. I'm just going to call him USG from Belgium. I'm not even going to try and butcher the name. I've killed that a couple of times on previous podcasts, so we'll just go for USG. Just now, it's difficult to know in these games what the opposition are going to be like, but hopefully we'll just see some gradual improvement and next steps from Rangers.
Yeah, I hope so. We've had a good record against Belgian teams over the last couple of seasons, so I'm sure the players will take confidence from that. I noticed that they won 1-0 on Friday night, I think it was, but they started that season with a 1-1 draw. So they're only one game ahead of us in terms of playing time, so hopefully that won't be a problem. Whereas last season we come up against Malmo and they were halfway through the season and stuff like that. Hopefully that's not going to hinder us that much prep. So yeah, I'm confident. I'm wondering if we are almost going to go 3 at the back in Europe because we've just got so many options. We might see that, and Sands and Souttar I think are perfect for a 3, so it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, no, I'm confident we can get the result on, certainly at the very least bring a draw back to Ibrox and hopefully see them off the following week. But yeah, no, I'm confident. I think the players should be as well.
And they head into the game on Tuesday night. We're obviously, as mentioned to Shug, we don't really know much about this team. It's easy to forget. It was only a couple of months ago we were in a Europa League final, but we all seem to be heading in with a wee bit of nervous anticipation.
That's the Rangers way, isn't it? It's the Rangers way. As you say, we were a penalty kick, an Aaron Ramsey penalty kick away from winning a European trophy, and we're only 9 weeks later, and we're worried about going to play a qualifier in Belgium. Listen, it's one of these things. We'll wait and see what happens on Tuesday night. All you're hoping for is no injuries and a result to bring back to Ibrox. It's as simple as that. What you're looking for, and what I'm always looking for anyway, I'm sure I'm not alone, is not to be flung to the far end of Russia or Belarus or somewhere like that. But across the channel and down a wee bit, it's not far. Let's go over there, get a result, and bring it back to Ibrox, where I'm sure we'll do fine at Ibrox, you know. So that's all I'm looking for. What will be interesting is whether Alfredo Morelos is available. I'm really looking forward to that. I think it might be a wee bit too early from what I'm reading, but you never know. You never know. So it'll be interesting to see, 1, who's available, and 2, what kind of team he picks, to see how he plays against this team. Don't know anything about them, so I'll go into it kind of blind on Tuesday night, but I'm thoroughly looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I think the second leg is what Morelos is targeting, and I think he's been included in the squad as a hope rather than a certainty. So hopefully he does turn up a week on Tuesday or a week on Wednesday at the game at Ibrox, and we'll see Morelos back in a Rangers shirt sooner rather than later. Just to round off the podcast, a bit of transfer rumour that went around today. Glenn Kamara has been rumoured to be linked with Italian Serie A side Salernitana. A suggested fee of between 10 million and 12 million pounds. Shug, I think for Glenn Kamara, I would have expected him to go to a bigger team. No, I'm not meaning any disrespect to Salernitana, but I would have expected him to be going to a team higher up in the league. Now, at the same time, if they're willing to pay £10 million or £12 million and Rangers view that as an acceptable fee, does it really matter to us where Glenn Kamara goes? I'd suggest the answer is no. Would you let Glenn Kamara go at this stage, or do you think he's one that we need to try and keep?
No, I think he's one we have to try and keep. I think Gio sees him as one of the key players and includes him in most games. I don't think like Ryan Jack is an obvious replacement, but because of Ryan Jack's injury history, you don't want to go into the season. I think would have to strengthen. We'd have to bring somebody in if we let Glenn Kamara go, and 10 to 12 million's probably a bit low for me. I'd be expecting at least over 15, considering he's in contract for a few years yet. So yeah, 10 to 12 isn't high enough for me, and hopefully the club. Well, I don't think the club have to accept bids of that nature for somebody that's a key player. But we'll wait and see.
Yeah, Andy, what are your views on that transfer rumour suggested fee of around 10 to 12 million? Is that a fee you would take? Would you try and keep, like Shug says, try and keep Glenn Kamara as a key player for us?
I kind of both agree and disagree with Shug. I think that's the reasonable money for Glenn Kamara, and I think that could be put to, if you were to go and buy an attacking forward, an attacking midfielder, if you like. Glenn Kamara is a defensive midfielder made to be an attacking midfielder when needed. But he is, Shug's exactly right. He's always in the team. He's very highly thought of by Van Bronckhorst, and he does a job. And you just know for a fact if he was to go tomorrow, Ryan Jack would get injured on Tuesday night. It's as simple as that. That's just the way it is. So I can see. Personally, you could make an argument to sell him and buy somebody who's better suited to what we need at the moment. Not that what we need at the moment, but we've got so many options. But I think he will stay. And I think if my head was in a vice, I would probably say keep him.
Yeah, it's a nice glass half full opinion on Ryan Jack to finish the podcast there, Andy.
No problem. No problem at all.
Well, thanks very much, Andy, for joining us. It's a pleasure as always.
Anytime, mate. Loved it.
Shug, same to you. Thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, anytime, especially after a Rangers win, nothing better.
Absolutely. It's great to have Rangers back playing some competitive action and on to Tuesday night. Well, thanks very much, everyone, for listening. It's always very much appreciated. Please remember to subscribe to the TII YouTube channel. Turn on those notifications so you get an email every time a new podcast is going live. In terms of what we've got coming up, we've got our live midweek bulletins every Monday, Wednesday and Friday at 7 p.m, followed by our main Sunday podcast at 8 p.m. We've also got some great content out on the channel as well. Myself and fellow contributor Kyle spoke to actor Jordan Young of Scott Squad in River City fame, all about how we got into Rangers, as Rangers supporting life, favourite players, favourite goals. Spoke about his trip to Seville, which sounded a bit harrowing if he lost his ticket, or his phone got stolen, half an hour or an hour before kickoff while he was standing outside the ground. So ultimate panic. So make sure to go check that one out as well. It's great fun and Jordan's a good laugh. But thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. And until next time, goodbye.